Hey guys, welcome back to the Rachalea podcast. Thank you for being here. If you guys are noticing, if you're watching this on YouTube and you see gigantic bags underneath my eyes, it's because my house, thank God, it's a good reason. My house is filled with my family right now. I have two sisters over, my younger sister Chavtziba, who's 16, and my older sister Shayna, she's right above me. And Shayna brought all of her kids, so we've had like a couple of days of absolutely no sleep, talking like into the wee or more hours of the morning, and it's been amazing, thank God. So I'm tired, but something that's been on my mind, obviously, and I made like some Instagram content about this yesterday. What's been on my mind pretty much nonstop for the past few days. Obviously, we had the inauguration yesterday. It was very exciting. I love seeing the pomp and the splendor and this like empire, this American empire. It's reminded me of the Roman Empire recently. It was amazing to watch. But I've been thinking a lot about this hostage deal that we have that's already been implemented. It started already in Israel. And I made this video yesterday. It's getting harder to breathe as I'm getting more pregnant. I made a video yesterday on Instagram about how I'm both happy and horrified about this hostage deal at the same time. And it's so unfair that as a Jew, it's so rare to be like completely fully happy or like completely fully aggrieved. Like you're never really truly happy. You can't really truly be happy or celebrate something because there's always something horrific that's happening at the same time. For example, at a wedding, although we are really truly happy at weddings, under the chuppah that we we smash the glass, right? The groom, right before the husband and wife, the bride and the groom get married, the husband smashes this glass under the chuppah, under the bridal canopy, because we're remembering the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash, of the Holy Temple. And I have this moment now because obviously we all want the hostages to come home more than anything. And there are hardly any emotion. There's no way to describe the emotion that one feels when you see the hostages come home and run into their mother's arms and see their families for the first time in over a year. And it's not just that they haven't seen their families in a year. They were kidnapped from their homes, from their bedrooms, from a music festival. It's just horrific. So I'm so happy that they're home. And at the same time, you guys know that I am a biblical Jew. All Jews are biblical, but I study the Torah. It's all I really ever wanted in life, besides like a family and a husband and like, those things. All I ever really wanted in life was to be a Torah scholar and to study God's Torah. That is truly, like King David says in Psalms and Tehillim, Hashem, the words of your Torah are in my mouth day and night. Your Torah, Torahscha besoch me'ai, your Torah is in my innards. That is exactly how I feel. I just want to study Torah. And because I study Torah so much, I have this ideology, I have this reality in my mind. I think about us Jews as I see us Jews in the Bible. The Davidic Jew, the Mosaic Jew. We talked about this last week. The Moshe Jew, the King David Jew. The glory of the Jewish people is unlike anything I've ever read about or witnessed. The mightiest of the mighty empires, the Roman Empire, the Greeks, the Babylon, all these empires that ruled the earth and they vanished, and the Jewish people just continues. And I'm very much a Davidic Jew. We talked about this last week. So watching the Jewish state, the Jewish homeland, the Jewish people, not just negotiate with terrorists, but actually take into consideration the demands of terrorists, it just leaves me sick. It leaves me horrified. I cannot stand that Jewish lives are used as bargaining chips. It is just unbelievable to me. And I'm not saying, I'm going to keep saying this. I'm not a geopolitical politician or professional. I don't know everything, obviously. I know you guys think I know everything. Joking. This is my tired humor. But I obviously don't know everything. I do trust Bibi. And I know that Trump is a very powerful person. And yet this is so disappointing to me. I cannot believe that, will Jewish lives ever really truly matter? How many Jews should we kidnap today? Let's sell some Jews. Let's trade some Jews. Let's kill some Jews. Let's then take their bodies and trade them for prisoners. We're talking about Jewish lives here. We're talking about Jewish life. Will Jewish life ever actually matter to anyone? And I don't give a bleep. I'm not going to say what I don't give. I don't give a crap when people are like, you're always crying and playing the victim. I don't care. We are the victims in this situation. Our people are stuck in Gaza. And do you know what we have to do to get them back? I wish, I was talking about this yesterday. Trump said on December, I believe it was December 2nd, 2024. That's like a month and a half ago. His mean tweets, these really like badass, legendary mean tweets, which I really love. He's always like threatening terrorists, which is a great thing, right? Because terrorists only understand one thing, fear. They live on blood and death and murder, and you have to speak their language. Trump said on December 2nd, obviously before he became president, the 47th president again, he said that the Middle East would have all hell to pay if the hostages were not back in their homes in the land of Israel by January 20th, by his inauguration day. And I remember just like heaving the sigh of relief. Finally Bibi's already been doing such a good job, in my opinion, of just like dismantling Hamas and destroying Hezbollah and taking out these top Iranian leaders. Trump said that the Middle East would have all hell to pay. And then all of a sudden we have these like peace talks. They're not peace talks, these ceasefire deals. I thought Hamas had all hell to pay. Hamas doesn't get they don't have a say here. They took people from their homes. They don't get to make demands. It makes me feel that Hamas never had all hell to pay, because how on earth are they now making demands? I'm going to go through the 3 phases of this deal. But in a minute, I know how complicated this is. Trust me. I know that it's like I'm a 26-year-old Jewish woman living in America. I know I don't understand everything. I'm aware. And I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. I also heard a bunch of Jewish influencers, really big Jewish influencers, like worshiping Trump. I have a personal policy of just never worshiping anyone besides God. I don't worship anyone besides God, specifically politicians. Trump had this most amazing political comeback. He survived a gunshot to the head, basically. Of course, that's all miraculous. And yet he's still a human being. And he's not the Mashiach. He's not the Messiah. And just watching these Jewish influencers, as this peace deal, this ceasefire deal, it's not a deal. This is, I think, it seems to me, 2 world powers, America and Israel, capitulating to a pathetic terrorist group. But whatever, we'll get there in a minute. I see these big influencers just kind of like going crazy over Trump and this deal. And thank you, Trump, for the deal. Thank you. This deal, it has made me like physically ill. This is, by the way, why I didn't want to go back into podcasting and like content and reading the news while I'm pregnant, because I don't want to stress out my baby. But this is what it is to be Jewish. You can't hide from your history. You can't hide from reality. Let's go through these 3 phases of the hostage deal. There are 9. So basically, this hostage deal has 3 phases. The first phase is going to last 42 days. But you know what? Actually, before we go into the 3 phases, this is pretty important, and I want to tell you guys. I don't believe in reading from teleprompters. I just don't. So I have all my notes on this piece of paper, so I'm going to look down quite a bit because I can't remember everything, especially because I'm so tired. There are 94 hostages left in Gaza. The Israeli government has basically told us that at least 34 are dead. And I don't like using the word dead. They've been murdered. Okay? I don't even care if Israeli bombs were the reason that they died. This is all on Hamas. Hamas went into people's homes. My husband and I were there in Ashkelon on October 7th. 10 minutes away from us, innocent Israelis and Jews were being slaughtered on the streets of Israel. There are videos that I saw that I almost wish I didn't see, but I actually believe in watching some of them if they're not. I believe in seeing them, because we have to bear witness to the slaughter of our people and what our people have been through. But my husband and I actually didn't know if we were going to live or not. We were in a bomb shelter for most of the day. Ashkelon is about a 12-minute drive from Gaza. I saw 2 particular videos that will haunt me for the rest of my life. One of them was a father in Sderot. This is 10 minutes away from Itamar's parents' house. My husband is Israeli. He's from Ashkelon. We were staying at his parents' house in Ashkelon for Passover, for Pesach. And just 10 minutes away, there was a father, a man, running for his life in the streets of Sderot, and there was this, I believe it was this Hamas pickup truck, a white pickup truck that was just like following him, and he couldn't outrun it. And this man knew, as he ran for his life, with these Hamas terrorists right behind him, with machine guns in their hands, he knew he was going to be slaughtered any minute. And I watched the moment that they caught up with him, because he was on foot. They were in this pickup truck. I will never forget the way that they killed him. And I believe he was holding his daughter. I believe he was holding a child. I don't know what happened to that child. But I will never forget, there was another video of these two women. I believe it was at the Nova Festival. And they were running on foot, and a bunch of Hamas terrorists were running after them. And one of these Hamas terrorists caught up with them. He shot one of the girls, and another one of the girls, I remember, if I'm remembering this correctly, because I haven't seen it in a couple months, or maybe even a year when it happened, October 7th, she fell to her knees, and she was just looking up at him as he was holding, this monster was holding a gun, and she just knew she was about to be shot in the head. And she was. I watched as she was shot in the head and fell crumpled to the floor in a heap. And that's the evil that we're talking about. Anyways, on to the 3 phases. There are 94 hostages left in Gaza. Israel, like I said before, the Israeli government said at least 34 are dead, murdered. There are also, I just want you to understand, I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir, you know how evil Hamas is, but there are an additional 4 Israeli hostages that are being held in Gaza. 2 of them are confirmed dead for sure, or murdered, and 2 of them we're not sure if they're alive or dead. I would guess that they're not alive anymore. The 2 first hostages are Hadar Golden, and the second is Oron Shaul. Oron Shaul was actually, his body was brought back from Gaza 2 days ago. It was recovered by the IDF 2 days ago. These 2 soldiers were killed in 2014. They were captured by Hamas during the operation called Protective Edge in 2014. Just think about this. Their bodies, they were slaughtered in Gaza and then held captive there. Their parents, their families haven't been able to bury them. Hadar Golden is still there for 11 years. 2014, right? We're in 2025. Was that math correct? Oron Shaul's parents, his family, buried him yesterday. That means they didn't have closure on their son's murder for 11 years. Just think about this for a minute. Imagine the healing, the trauma, the grief at losing your son, any parent losing their son. But they weren't able to close up that grief for 11 years. They just had his funeral yesterday. Yesterday, that's been 11 years. They need to dig up all this grief and go through it all over again. That is how evil Hamas is. They're inhuman. So Hadar Golden and Oron Shaul are still in Gaza. Sorry, Oron Shaul was recovered 2 days ago, but he was there up until then. There are also 2 Israeli civilians named Avraham Mengistu and Hisham al-Said. They're both mentally ill Israeli civilians. One of them is Jewish. One of them is an Israeli Bedouin. They both crossed over on their own volition by themselves into Gaza, one in 2014, one in 2015. And again, these were 2 mentally ill Israelis. They went straight into Gaza on their own, different years, 2014, 2015. And we have no clue what happened to them. They've just been, who knows? Their families are in hell. They're mentally ill human beings, and Hamas has been holding them. This is who we're dealing with. I want to read to you, we're going to get to the phase 1, 2, and 3 of the hostage deal. I don't like calling it a deal. It's a hostage extortion, in my opinion. But Avraham Mengistu's brother, his name is Yalo Mengistu, he said, it's a hole. He's talking about his brother. He said, it's a hole. It's like a sense, like eyes or ears or a wound. You live with it forever until the whole thing is over and he comes home. We live with this all day, every day. His brother disappeared in 2014, Avraham Mengistu, who was a mentally ill person. And Hamas is just holding him. Anyways, these are an additional 3 hostages, 4, but again, Oron Shaul was recovered a day ago. 2 days ago on the 19th. So that's what we're dealing with here. So we have 94 hostages, but we also have an additional 4 Israeli citizens, well now 3, that are also being held there. And again, it's sick to me that these like Jewish bodies and people are like these like chess pieces. Like, ooh, how much did that person weigh? Well, if they weighed 140 pounds, maybe we can get 70 Palestinian murderers for that Jewish body. It just is sickening. The Rachalea podcast is sponsored by Sheba Wigs. We Jewish women were given the mitzvah, the commandment, to cover our hair after marriage. And unfortunately, many women struggle to cover their hair because wigs can be so expensive. Sheba Wigs was founded by Chani Ziggy Hassis and her partner and mother, Tanya Ziggy, with the intention of helping every Jewish woman buy a wig that she loves and feels beautiful in, no matter what her financial situation is. Sheba Wigs offers gorgeous virgin hair wigs that don't break the bank because they believe every Jewish woman should feel good fulfilling the mitzvah of hair covering. They pride themselves on their customer service and prioritize really truly listening to the needs of their customers. Visit Sheba Wigs on Instagram to find the perfect wig for you at an amazing price. So phase 1 of this hostage extortion is the first phase. There's 3 phases. The first phase is to last 42 days. Hamas says they'll release 33 of the 94 hostages. Only around 60 are still alive. We know that 3 female hostages, thank God, came home a few days ago. And this is the sickest part, and we're going to get to this in a minute. First of all, we're going to talk about which Palestinian prisoners, they're not prisoners, they're murderers and criminals and animals and monsters are being released from Israeli prison. But I just want you to know the ratio. Okay, Israel is releasing 30 Palestinian criminals and murderers for each civilian hostage. So for one Jewish or Israeli civilian hostage, you're getting 30 Hamas murderers, terrorists, criminals. And that's not the worst ratio. I said this yesterday, and it kills me. It kills me. For each female soldier that is being released, each female hostage that's being given back to Israel, Israel has to give 50 Palestinian terrorists. 50 to 1. Again, Jews are not, I don't know if there's another solution. I was talking to my brother Mendy yesterday. He says that there are different solutions. He actually works in the Knesset, in the Israeli parliament. Is this the only way to get our people back? By bending the knee to Hamas? It's sick to me. Also included in phase 1 is a temporary ceasefire. The Israeli soldiers are to withdraw to the borders of Gaza. Displaced Palestinians can return home. And Israel will allow the entry of 600 humanitarian aid trucks into Gaza daily, every single day. We know, obviously, that most of that will go to Hamas because Hamas doesn't care about Gazans. Phase 2 out of 3, phase 2 and 3 are basically a release of more hostages for Palestinian terrorists, and the full withdrawal of Israeli soldiers from Gaza, and a permanent ceasefire, basically the end of the war. All the hostages, the bodies of the hostages and the ones that are alive will be returned to Israel, again, for an exorbitant amount of Palestinian terrorists, and the end of the war. That's basically phase 2 and 3. Trump actually said last night at his first press conference in the Oval Office that phase 2 and 3 will probably not happen because there's a conflicting element here. Hamas says they're not going to give the hostages back until Israeli forces leave Gaza completely. And Israel says they're not leaving Gaza completely until Hamas is militarily and politically dismantled. So those two things doesn't seem like they're going to be able to happen. Okay. I just want to read to you some of the prisoners that are being released, some of these prisoners have already been released and some of them are going to be released. Mohammed Abu Warda, again, remember, these prisoners are being released in exchange for innocent babies, toddlers, primarily Jewish Israeli civilians. Again, people who were stolen from their living rooms, from their bedrooms, just Israeli civilians for murderers, okay? Palestinian murderers. Mohammed Abu Warda is being released from jail. He's responsible for the murder of 45 Israelis that were slaughtered in 2 bombings on Bus 18 in Jerusalem. They were murdered in 1996. Mohammed Abu Warda is responsible for the murder of 45 Jewish people that were killed on a bus bombing in 1996. The youngest prisoner that's being freed, his name is Mahmoud Aliyowat. He's 15 years old. He was convicted at age 13 of shooting 2 people in the City of David area in Jerusalem. A 13-year-old Palestinian shot 2 Jewish people in Jerusalem. He was 13. Another person is being released. This is a woman, which always strikes me more. I don't know if that's a sexist thing. When women slaughter and murder and terrorize, it just hits me in a different way. Her name is Khalida Jarrar. She's 62 years old. She is a leading member of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. She is accused of masterminding the 2019 bombing that killed a 17-year-old young woman named Irina Schnerb, an innocent Jewish civilian. So all of these people so far have blood on their hands. Number 4, Nawal Abed Fatiha is going to be released, and he stabbed a 70-year-old Israeli man with a knife in Jerusalem. He's also being swapped. Number 5, Ibrahim Zamar. He, in 2023, when he was 15, he shot 2 people at the entrance to the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood. Another monster being released, his name is Zakaria Zubeidi. He's 49 years old. He was involved in numerous attacks, including the Beit She'an bombing that killed 6 people at the Likud party branch in 2002. Also a murderer. We also have Wissam Abbasi, 3 people actually, Wissam Abbasi, Mohammed Odeh, and Wa'al Qasim. They're called the Silwan Squadron. They were jailed in 2002 in connection to a string of bombings that killed over 30 Israelis in Jerusalem. These are all murderers. These are all monsters, terrorists, and they already have blood on their hands. And I don't doubt that they will strive to have more blood on their hands in the future. I have 3 siblings that live in Israel. All 3 of them made Aliyah. This is horrific. There is a history of Palestinian terrorists being swapped. Remember, this happened in 1985. We're going to talk about it in a minute. It also happened in 2011 with Gilad Shalit. They're swapped. They are freed from these Israeli prisons, and they have this sense of revenge that they just want to kill more Jews because they were kept in jail as they should have been for so many years. And they're released from prison, and they just go on to do everything they can to murder more Jews. And I don't doubt that will happen again. And this is why this extortion is so depressing. Again, I learn Torah for a living. I am a Bible studying Jewish woman. When I think about the way that we Jews were formed, the people we used to be, we were feared, we were honored, we put the fear of God into our enemies. And here we are alongside America taking demands from a terrorist organization. And Jewish lives are like these bargaining chips, again, like I said before, where we can steal Jews, we can kidnap Jews, we can trade Jews. Let's see, how many Jews can we trade for Palestinian terrorists? How many Jewish bodies too? Oh my God, thank God we have Jewish bodies as well. Let's send them back to Israel. We can make the most of these murdered Jews and these hostage Jews, and these Jewish lives mean nothing to anyone. I just don't know when Jewish lives are going to mean something to someone. Jews are not bargaining chips. Jewish bodies are not bargaining chips. Jews that have been murdered are not bargaining chips. I don't know how when Trump said that the Middle East will experience, I forgot the words I just said before, all hell. He said that the Middle East will experience all hell if they don't send back the hostages. Where is that all hell? Where is that punishment? Where is that threat? How is Hamas allowed to use the holy bodies of murdered Jews as bargaining chips? This is not a deal. It's an extortion. And I will keep saying that. And I don't know if there's a better way out. But I just want to show you guys this. I just showed you all these prisoners. These are, 8 people, 8 monsters that are being released from these Israeli prisons. There are going to be up to 2,000 of them released. 2,000. Do you think they're going to just live their lives happily now? No. They are going to make it their life's mission to kill more Jews. These people have slaughtered Jewish lives. How can they be released? It's criminal. It's terrible. But I I was reading this amazing article in the Free Press. I pay $8 a month to read Barry Weiss's Free Press. They're amazing. It's amazing because I usually don't like to spend money on things like, $8 a month. You know, my husband and I work very hard. We're a young couple. We're preparing to have our first child, but I happily give them my money. I love the Free Press. In 1985, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine was holding 3 soldiers. Oh, I was reading this amazing article in the Free Press about the history of Israel swapping Palestinian murderers for Israeli hostages. And in these 2 massive prisoner swaps, both times the swapped prisoners, the Palestinian swapped prisoners, went back to Gaza and dedicated their entire lives to killing more Jews. And I want you to know about that. In 1985, the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine was holding 3 soldiers. The group's leader, Ahmed Jibril, was demanding 1,200, that's 1,200 Palestinian prisoners in return for 3 soldiers. 3 Israeli Jewish soldiers for 1,200 Palestinian prisoners. And Israel said yes, because they were put into a corner. One of those prisoners that was released was Ahmed Yassin, who later became the spiritual leader of Hamas. Hamas is a spiritual, it's hard to say this, it's hard to think about. It's a spiritual movement. These people, their God is a God of death. Their God is a God of murder. That's why they say Allahu Akbar before they blow themselves up. This is not all Muslims. These are Islamists. And it's not racist to say this or acknowledge it. It's a huge problem. And every good-hearted Muslim with a soul and a heart and a brain will say this. It's not that hard to say. This Ahmed Yassin that was released from Israeli prison went on to become the spiritual leader of Hamas. And it's because of these spiritual leaders that young 13-year-old Palestinians like Mahmoud Aliawat, who's 15 now, when he was convicted at age 13, why would a 13-year-old go and shoot 2 Jews in the head? You tell me. It's a spiritual movement. They believe that this is what God wants of them. And when they get to heaven, there's a bunch of virgins waiting for them. Okay, so that's what happened from one of Israel's main prisoner swaps. By the way, interestingly enough, Bibi Netanyahu was a very young politician at the time in 1985, and he completely opposed this deal. He said it should not happen, which is interesting because now, again, Israel's in a corner, and Bibi is making this happen. We all know about Gilad Shalit. In 2011, a tank crewman named Gilad Shalit was captured by Palestinian fighters. They're not Palestinian fighters. I got this from obviously like ABC or NBC, by Palestinian terrorists on the Gaza border. And Bibi made a deal that freed 1,000 prisoners for Gilad Shalit. That's 1,000 to 1. We all know that Yahya Sinwar, Yamach Shemo, may his name be erased and may he burn in hell forever. Yahya Sinwar was released in this prisoner swap for Gilad Shalit, and we all know that he was the mastermind behind the October 7th attack. And he led Hamas until he was recently killed, thank God, by Israel. These Palestinian prisoners don't just leave prison and say, thank God I'm out, I'm going to not kill people anymore. They have a sense of vengeance. And I don't doubt, unfortunately, that these prisoners are going to be released and they're going to dedicate their entire lives to killing Jewish people. I don't doubt it. And that's what we're dealing with now. Again, I have 4 siblings in Israel. 3 siblings in Israel. I had 4 because one of them is always studying there. It's just not the way to live. It's not a way to live. And I think that we Jews sometimes, somehow, we get used to living in danger. And whenever we're not killed, we're thankful to God and to the world, and we're thankful for not being killed. Is that a way to live? My husband, Itamar, is Israeli, hardcore Israeli, like the real deal Israeli. I don't even know. It's a miracle we even met. I don't know. God brought us together somehow. He moved to America. It was so random. He is the only person alive for me. He's the only person he's just, thank God, he's perfect for me. And, but he was raised in Ashkelon, salt of the earth kind of Jew, raised so differently than me. I mean, these Jews are the real deal. They're like a part of the land. And his childhood home was a bomb shelter. Sorry, his childhood bedroom was a bomb shelter. So, they live in Ashkelon. There are always rockets flying over Ashkelon, like consistently, constantly, because Ashkelon is a 12-minute drive from Gaza. his childhood home. And he told me it was like completely normal. His entire family at 2 a.m, every 3 nights, every 2 nights, would just like pack up into his room, sit on the double bed, and just like wait for the sirens to go off. And he grew up like this from the age of like 0 to until he left home, until he was 18. And I said to him on our date, I said, that's not a normal way to live. And he was kind of just like, you know what? You're right. Like, really? I'm right? Are you serious? My husband, as a child, 7 years old, 8 years old, had his entire family coming into his room at 2 a.m. every other night because there were rockets flying over his head coming from Gaza because Hamas wanted to kill people. That's not a way for Jews to live. That's not a way for anyone to live. We Jews should never get used to living in danger with people wanting to slit our throats day and night. It's not a way to live. And I don't see that ending if prisoners are consistently released from Israeli jails. They're not prisoners. They're animals. They are monsters. They are terrorists. They don't deserve to live. And honestly, there should probably be a death penalty in Israel for people. I saw a video once, again, wish I didn't see this, but you know what? Maybe it's good that I saw it because it put a fire under my butt. Really, it put a fire in my belly. It put a fire in my mind and my heart. A fire that never goes out. It's anger that we have to live like this. My father took us to Israel when I was 17. He took us to one of these towns in Yudav Shamron, Judea and Samaria. And I can't believe I don't remember her name. It'll come to me in a minute. I'm blaming my pregnancy. I'm blaming my baby. I'm joking. But I can't remember anything anymore. I forgot her name, and that's terrible because she was slaughtered by a Palestinian murderer. But I saw a security video of this young girl, I think she was 13, in her bed. It was like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. And the parents had a camera in her room. And I saw this, the security of this town in Judea and Samaria. He showed us, because my dad was there and he was showing, I'm not giving you guys a background, sorry, I'm skipping steps here. He was showing my dad and our whole family, what they have to do to survive and the amount of security they need just to live in the land of Israel. Judea and Samaria is a part of Israel. It's our land. It's the Jewish homeland. And I saw, unfortunately, and it's scarred, branded into my brain for the rest of my life, I saw this Palestinian, I think he was like 18 years old, climb into her window, take out a massive kitchen knife, and just stab her, and stab her, and stab her, and stab her. And she just lay there. She was sleeping, and blood just started flowing into her sheets, down from her bed. And it was the most horrific thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't know why my dad let me see that, but my dad never shelters us from anything. And we've had conversations about that. I was 17 or 18, and I couldn't react. I actually think I gagged later. It seems like a movie. Like, this can't be true. This can't be real. That's not a way for anyone to live. The Jewish people don't have to live like this. We don't have to live like this. And this is, again, I'm happy and horrified. I keep saying that. I keep telling my husband, am I being crazy? I keep asking him, Itamar, is it me? Am I like just too idealistic that I think that we Jews can be really strong? We don't have to capitulate to terrorists. I don't know. Anyways, I wanted to discuss this. It's important. And I really hope that God will show himself finally and help us, really help us, because we've been doing a lot of heavy lifting on our own recently. I don't care if that sounds heretical to you guys, sorry, or to anyone. Anyways, that's today's podcast. We have some big podcasts coming on. I tried to bring my sisters on. I'm gonna keep harassing them and asking them to come on because I have the most amazing siblings in the world, and each of them has their own thing happening. We also have some Candace Owens videos coming. Such a liar, such a bad person. And I'm gonna get some sleep also so that I'm prepared for Thursday. And I'll see you guys next time. God bless you.